Even balwadis and Anganwadi and daycare centers, all the workers or the teachers are to be well trained. It recommends a 2-year vocational course in ECCE at +2 level. Even Indira Gandhi National Open University is offering diploma program in ECCE. So here we see that those who are involved in this particular early childhood care education program should be well trained. That has been highlighted in the program of action in the year 1992. The major gain in the last decades has been the awareness regarding the developmental needs of children and the significance of the playway method. That is, here the main focus is placed upon what are the requirements of the child, what the child needs for the all round development of the child, the social needs, the psychological needs, the emotional thing, then the mental development, everything is to be taken care of. And playway method of teaching is to be taken up. Then what about the elementary education? So according to NP 1986, universal enrollment, universal retention of children up to the 14 years of age, a substantial improvement and quality of education. So here universal enrollment will be there for the age group of 6 to 14. There should be universal provision of school within a 1 kilometer distance from the child's home or residence. Then universal retention of children up to the age of 14 years of age. That is, the child has to complete, that is from 6 to 14. He should be there in the school, continuing with classes, and elementary education will come to an end after the 14 years of age. Then, and a substantial improvement in quality of education. Quality education is to be provided. Child-centered approach should be there. And NP of program of action, and that is NP 1986, and also the program of action of 1902. They all focus upon what? That is, large classrooms should be there, blackboard setup will be there, then different types of TLM, that is teaching learning materials, that is maps, charts, then toys, learning aids, school library, all these things are to be provided. Then only a proper conducive atmosphere is to be created for the all-round development of the children. Then we find what? That is universalization of elementary education. That is the POA of 1986 and POA of 1992 stated the process of planning for universalization of elementary education ought to be decentralized and the local community fully involved. That is, involvement of community members will make the program more successful. For that reason, the Sarva Sikkha Abhijan, that is SSA, promotes what? Decentralized planning with full involvement of Panchayati Raj institution. And the SSA promotes planning with full involvement of Panchayati Raj institution, the village education community committees, that is VEC, village education committee, and have contributed to the improvement of school environment. And what else? Infrastructure facilities, large enrollment of children through school mapping and micro planning of the Shiksha Karmi schools. So here we see that to have success in the elementary education stage, involvement of community members and participation is a must, because then only we can have success in having universal access, universal retention, and quality achievement. Here we find what? That is enrollment and retention, universal provision facilities. In order to achieve the policy guideline, detailed school mapping were to be entrusted. The concept of low-cost hostel was introduced to lower the dropout rates in tribal areas. So for in tribal areas, lower cost hostels were opened so that tribal students will be able to afford it and stay there and continue their education. Even Balika Shiksha Civil are short-term residential courses. They were open for the adolescent girls. The program of Ashram School is also included. Then what about enrollment and retention? Enrollment and retention and completion by all children, at least 5 years of education was given emphasis. Here we see this is being done by the Prerar Patsala and the projects where we see SKP projects where we see that 22,359 girls who constitute 71% of the learners in the PPE are benefiting from this facility. We have different kinds of provisions so that mainly for the tribal children, for the girl student, and also disadvantaged group children. Then here we see what? That is National Program for Education of Girls for Elementary Level, launched in the year September 2003. It is an integrated but distinct component of the SSA, that is Sarva Sikya Abhijan, so that girls' education under SSA will smoothly function. Again, we find what? Here, more intense community mobilization is there. The development of model schools in cluster is there. Gender sensitization of teachers. Development of gender sensitive learning materials. Early child care and education facilities. And provision of need-based incentives like escorts, stationery work, books and uniforms for girls. So these are the provisions that were taken care of under the girls' education you're under SSA Abhijan, that is Sarva Sikya Abhijan. Then what about OB? That is Operational Blackboard. It focuses upon what? It is a nationwide program. It's a nationwide program of school improvement. So it includes provision of two reasonably large classrooms, necessary toys, games, material, blackboard, maps, charts, and other learning materials. So these were to be provided so that each and every educational institution will be well equipped. Again, we see that the non-formal education. So non-formal education as stated in the Program of Action of 1986, efforts are being made to evolve and adopt the most suitable model depending upon what? That is depending on the requirements of the target group. That is according to the requirement of the target group, different types of provisions are to be provided by the non-formal education also. So here modern technological tools are to be used. Again, community is to be also involved in the non-formal education sector also. So even in informal education centers, different types of programs were given where we can see that open school, non-formal courses linked with the open school, National Institute of Open Schooling has launched the Open Basic Education, that is OBE programs, alternative programs for school dropouts, those who were not able to go for the regular classes or regular schools, that is child laborers or any other type of employment they are engaged. Therefore, they are not able to continue with the regular formal educational institution. For them, alternative arrangements were done so that they can have or they can continue their elementary education and complete it. Then, vocational and technical courses of a wide variety would be provided for children and youth who come out of the non-formal stream. Then again, inclusion of information and communication technology. Here we see that in even information and communication technologies, that is ICT, even provision of ICT is also there. Then we see what? What about the secondary education? So here we see that both NPE of 1992 and that program of action and even the 1986 strongly advocated that children with special talent or aptitude should be provided with opportunity to proceed at the faster pace by making good quality education available to them. Irrespective of their capacity to pay for it, access to secondary education will be widened. And here we see what? With emphasis on enrollment of girls, SC, ST, and particularly in the field of science, commerce, and vocational streams. So, like in the elementary stage, even in the secondary stage, emphasis was given on the enrollment of girls, SC, ST students, and even in different streams, that is your science, commerce, and vocational streams. Here, emphasis was given to, that is as per the NPE 1992, Board of Secondary Education were to be reorganized with autonomy and they shall to be provided with autonomy so that their ability to improve the quality of secondary education is enhanced. Efforts will be made to provide computer literacy in as many secondary institutions as possible so that children are equipped with necessary computer skills to be effective in the emerging technological world. Then we have to see that the school infrastructure, proper construction, additional classroom, proper laboratory facility, library facility, and also provision of science kit. All these things are to be taken care of. Then only proper secondary education will be provided. Then staff development. So here We have to see that teacher competencies were to be improved by attracting better qualified people, by improving the pre-service and in-service training programs. If pre-service and in-service training programs are improved, then only well-trained and qualified teachers will be there to teach the secondary education level. Also, there is the provision of special orientation of primary teachers and program of mass orientation of school teachers. These are to be taken care of. Again, we find for professional development of head, that is for the headmasters and principal, secondary and higher secondary school stage, State Institute of Educational Management and Training has been established. The main objective of this institute is what? That is orientation and training of the educational planners, manager, head of the other educational functionaries. Then we find what? That is here the reorientation of the content of secondary education. That is National Curriculum Framework for School Education has included the following curricular areas under the syllabus for the secondary education. That is mathematics, science, social science, languages, work experience, art education, health and physical education. And for that, the textbook have to be what? Prepared according to this particular line, according to these all suggestions. So here textbook have to be written once again. They are to be modified since curriculum is revised, and accordingly the textbooks have to be revised. Then the three language formula. What about the three language formula? It includes, that is, proper emphasis will be given to Hindi language, English, and also a regional language or a mother tongue. That is the three language formula. Then what about the evaluation procedure? The evaluation procedure should be give emphasis upon what? That is here improving, that is continuous and comprehensive evaluation should be there. Improvement in the conduct of examination will be there. De-emphasis on memorization, elimination of excessive elements of chance and subjectivity, introduction of the semester system, even use of grades in place of marks. All these things are to be taken care of for making reformation in the examination pattern or the evaluation process. Then we find what? That is common educational structure. It has been already told to you, that is 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern is to be followed throughout the nation. What about vocationalization of secondary education? The vocationalization through specialized institution or through the refashioning of secondary education will at this stage provide valuable manpower for economic growth. Pre-vocational courses are also there at the lower secondary stage, and then at the higher secondary stage, vocational courses are provided. Here we see that this is done so that the students, after passing out of the secondary stage, even though they are not able to get admitted into the higher education stage, at least they'll able to earn their livelihood after the completion of their secondary stage. Then we have what? NCRT through different department of vocational education has later on given emphasis upon what? That is Pandit Sundarlal Sarma Central Institute of Vocational Education conducted orientation and training programs on survey workers for the survey workers, and also conducted need assessment of vocational manpower in different states and union territories. So organized this particular, that is Central Institute, that is your PSSCIV, Pandit Sundar Lal Sarma Central Institute of Vocational Education. What it does, it provides orientation programs so that proper vocational manpower is created. Then creation of Navodaya Vidyalayas. So it was, the main objective was to set up Navodaya Vidyalaya in all districts of India before the completion of the 8th plan period. And here the Navodaya Vidyalaya were set up to have what? Here we see, that is strategies to maintain a high standard of academic achievement, and for that we see, that is admission is done on the basis of what? Some entrance test is there or admission test is there, and it is carried out on the pattern of CBSE pattern, and recruitment of qualified teachers are there, and trained and qualified teachers are appointed for teaching in the Navodaya Vidyalayas. Then what about higher education? Here we see That is the significant statements on higher education made in the Education Commission report of 1964-66, that is your Kothari Education Commission, and the National Policy Resolution on Education of 1968 marked a significant step by making recommendation for reconstruction of education system with focus on science and technology. So in the higher education stage, that is in the university education, more emphasis is to be given on what? That is your science and technology. Again, we see that is consolidation and expansion of institutions. So, at the time of independence, 20 universities and 500 colleges were already started. Then we find what? We find that even the program of action of 1992, it focuses upon reviewing the status in accordance with the NP 1986, and it focused upon what? That is for the management and proper functioning of higher education. We have what? Different committee under the UGC for the recommendation and the management structure of university, establishment of national evaluation organization for common entrance test for professional course and postgraduate courses, introduction of what? We see that all these things were done for proper functioning of your higher education. And here we see that is the UGC has been instrumental in setting up free national information centers in selected universities for providing convenient, economical, and timely access to information, and four national facility centers at Mumbai University and at Sri Venkateswar University, Tirupati, Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla, and Anna University to serve as a resource center for availing facilities provided by these centers. These allow for a system of sharing and pooling of resources within university department and between neighboring universities. So then what about the development of autonomous colleges? So the POA of 1986 had stated to establish 500 autonomous colleges. So here, in order to increase the number of autonomous colleges, it is proposed to make provision in the University Acts where necessary to enable colleges to become autonomous. Also, guidelines have been framed delineating the extent of academic and administrative and financial autonomy and the corresponding responsibility. The UGC has also set up 7 autonomous centers within the university system. So here we find that is opening of new autonomous colleges so that proper provision or access to higher education will be there. Here we see that is the following NPE 1986 and the UGC established College Development Council, which undertook a comprehensive review of the curricular subjects which were circulated to all universities for adoption and adaptation. What? That is upgradation of the model curricula, UGC existing guidelines for restructuring of UG courses, that is UG courses are to be reformulated, restructured, introduction of vocational courses, then concerned, here we see that conditions such as age relaxation to be created to enable working people to enroll in the PG courses, so that age relaxation, if there is relaxation in the age, even those who are working can get enrolled in the PG courses. Emphasis to be paid on development of integrated honors courses in vocational subjects, then fostering of formal links with the various research agencies, establishment of university industry linkage, then incentives to universities which are successful in establishing effective linkage with industry, inter-university centers for research. Even research work is to be taken care of. Then only improvement of efficiency will be there. Again, we see what? Here we see that for proper UGC accordingly worked on these recommendations intensively and prepared several guidelines dealing with affiliation of colleges with the university, teaching days, workload, academic calendar, performance, appraisal for teachers, code of ethics of teachers. All these things were taken care of for the proper improvement of efficiency in the higher education stage. And here, what about the financing of higher education? So for the financing of higher education, focus on revising the tuition fees provision of necessary fellowship, scholarship, and also allocation of grants to higher education institutions based on rational student faculty ratio. So these were the things which were done for proper financing of higher education. Then training of teachers, for that academic staff colleges were established so that training of teachers will be there. Orientation program for newly appointed teachers, the refresher courses for in-service teachers. All these were done for the training of teachers. Again, we see what? Strengthening of research. So here we see that is special assistance program was introduced to identify and support university departments that have the potential to undertake quality teaching and research in various educational disciplines, including allied subjects. So here, even NP of 1986 had proposed to establish National Research Foundation to bring about better coordination, overview, and quality control of the research output of the higher education institution. So again, we see modification of curriculum and methodology of learning to appropriate research and development to incorporate elements of problem solving, creativity, relevance are some of the other initiatives that are to be taken care of. Then only higher education can function properly. Then what about technical education? So according to NPT 1986 and Program of Action 1992, the reorganization of technical and management education is to be according to the changing world scenario. So according to the situational demand, according to the demand of the society, even the technical education has to be modified. So there is a need for greater induction of improvement in technologies and a supply of technical and managerial manpower in the infrastructure and the service sector. Again, it is proposed that technical education should be provided through distance education in a flexible modular pattern based on credit system with provision of multi-point entry. So here, even in the distance mode also, technical education is to be provided. Then education can go to the doorstep of the learners. So appropriate formal and non-formal programs of technical education will be devised for the benefit of women, the economically and socially weaker sections of the society, and even for the physically handicapped. Then strengthening of board of study, creating new boards, integration of craftsman training, national manpower information system, technical education for women, all of these things are to be taken care of for the proper implementation of program of action, that is 1986, for the technical education. Then for continuing education, that is in the year 2001, AICT launched a scheme of National Academic Network for Continuing Education. So here we see what? Strengthening the administrative body, autonomy and technical management institution. That is AICT will initiate action for formulation of guidelines for identifying and awarding academic and administrative and financial autonomy to technical and management institutions and prescribing norms of accountability. So here we see that strengthening of the administrative body is a must. Autonomy is to be provided even to the technical educational institutions. Then management of education. So the All India Board of Management Studies has to formulate scheme to undertake research studies and constitute study groups to document Indian experiences in the non-corporate and unorganized sectors. So AICT has to formulate schemes to provide continuing education for developing management personnel at appropriate level. Then we find curriculum development cells which have to look into what? That is for curriculum upgradation and reformulation. Then what about open education system? The Indira Gandhi National Open University came up with what? Support to establishment of open university in the state. Then here we see that it is your NP 1986 and 1992 open learning system has been initiated in order to augment opportunity for higher education as an instrument of democratizing education. Here we see that is even that is 1992, that is program of action of 1992 stated that IGNOU would also provide support to establish of open university in the state. National open school will be strengthened and open learning facility extended in a phased manner at the secondary level in all parts of the country. So here we see that we found what? That is your teleconferencing of IGNOU through INSAT is there. The Gyanvani FM radio programs are there. Gyan Darshan educational TV channel is there. All of these things were carried out so that education can reach to the doorstep of the student. Even the National Institute of Open Schooling, earlier called the National Open School, was established, that is being strengthened and developed to widen the access of education at the secondary and higher secondary level. So here we see these are the special provisions for the open education system. Then what about the institutional arrangement of educational operation? So local level bodies for educational operations, they are to be involved for proper functioning of education. According to the Bal Mehta Committee of 1957, the committee recommended establishment of an interconnected three-tiered organizational structure of democratic decentralization at the village, block and district level. Here we see that is the basic function of democratic decentralization is to ensure the planning for development which is more responsive and adaptable to regional and local needs of the population. It ensures people participation in the development process. So here we see that is involvement of the three-tier system in the proper functioning of education. That is, here we see the objectives of universalization of elementary education and total literacy still remains elusive goals. These are the two important goals that are to be taken care of. For that reason, the Panchayati Raj bodies have been involved for providing education even at the grassroots level. Again, the village education committee. So each panchayat will constitute a village education committee or a subcommittee of panchayat which would be responsible for administration of the delegated programs in the field of education at the village level in case of more than one village. So here, micro level planning will be taken care of, school mapping will be done, systematic house to house survey will be done, periodic discussion with parents will be done. All these things are to be taken care by whom? That is the village education committee. Then Panchayat Standing Committee on Education, where the Panchayat comprise only of one village. The Committee for Education is named as Panchayat Standing Committee on Education or otherwise known as PEC. And what is the main function of it? The main function is to ensure care, that is awareness, ensure creation of awareness among local community for participation in the managing effective and regular functioning of the school and the educational institution. Then we see what next, that is your to exercise supervision of early childhood care and education. Then to promote attendance and prevent dropout of students. Again, to provide encouragement and support to the teachers and to arrange for essential facilities. These are the important functions they have to do. Then what about Panchayat Samiti? This Samiti is Panchayat Raj body at an intermediate and it is at the block level or the taluka level. And what is the work of it? Thus the committee exercise overall control and supervision of the educational institutions up to the upper primary level including the private school. So here academic supervision is the main focus. Then what about the block resource center? So at the state level, state resource group is formed for the purpose of pedagogical renewal, that is restructuring of curriculum, reformulation of textbook, organizing training programs for primary school teachers and conducting sharing sessions with the SRG members. So main purpose of BRC, that is Block Resource Center, is what? To make arrangements so that all children get needed education with affordable care, with quality, to arrange for production of useful teaching materials, to arrange for regular meetings of teachers, then to establish parent-teacher association, mother-teacher association. Then comes the CRC, that is the Cluster Resource Center. Cluster Resource Group is formed for giving advice and guidance to CRC. The objective of CRC is empowerment of school teachers in its jurisdiction by providing training in innovative methods, producing useful learning materials, arranging co-curricular activities, and here we see that is the work of these CRC and BRC is what? That is empowerment of the school teachers. Then what about Zilla Parishad? That is, Zilla Parishad covers an entire district is excluding the municipal areas. So it covers the entire district excluding the municipal areas, and it also set up its standing committee on education as a statutory body for the management of education in its jurisdiction. So what are the functions? Overall management and supervision of the educational program up to the secondary level in the entire district, periodic review of the progress of education, and to boost the educational program to have total literacy, universalization of elementary education. These are the main functions. Then we move on to the what? That is management of education in the municipal areas. So here we see that is according to the 74th Amendment Act to the Constitution of India, envisages giving responsibility of promotion of cultural, education and aesthetic aspects in municipal bodies. So here we find what? District Planning Committee coordinates the plan of the development for all the municipalities. The municipalities are responsible for promoting universal elementary education and total literacy in their jurisdiction. Again, we find the state level bodies for educational operation. We find here the level of administration. There is a diagram over here. That is, the first we find Ministry of Education, under it the Secretariat, then the Directorate, the SCRT, which includes the Board of Secondary Education and the textbook board, then the regional or circle office, then we find at the Zilla Parishad, District Education Office, District Institute of Education and Training. Under the District Education Office, the urban area, we have the Municipality Corporation, and under the rural area, the Block Education Office. Again, under the Block Education Office, we have the VEC, that is the Village Education Committee, and the Gram Panchayat. So in this way, we have the entire division of structure of education at the state level. And here we find what? That is the Ministry of Education at state level. The constitutional head of the state is governor of the state, and here for a period of 5 years, the tenure is for 5 years. Governor has a council of ministers headed by the chief minister, having the legislative assembly and the legislative council. Then we find that is, in some states, minister of education is assisted by a deputy minister. Then directorate of education, who, that is administrative chief, is in each state is an officer known as the Director of Public Instruction or DPI. He is the head of education department. And in many cases, now we find that more than one director in a state separately in charge of school education, higher education and technical education. Then there is the diagram where we can see that is the Minister of Education, that is Ministry of Education of the state, then the Secretary of Education, then the Director of Education, the regional or circle office, then the district of office of education, then the block level office of education. Then what about the Department of Education? So there are two levels of administration, the Secretariat and the Directorate together comprise the Department of Education of state. So here we see that is the Department of Education is under the charge of the director, but its policy making functions have been discharged by the Secretariat. And there are three functions. One is the regulatory function, that is for the development of standards, rules and regulations, the inspection part, the examination part, the investigation part, the rules to be taken care of, then the operational, that is the discharge by the operating a number of schools and colleges by it. The operational function are also discharged through its nationalization of textbooks and the organization and conduct of examination. Then the directive function of the department is in the form of giving direction for the efficient functioning. Now this function is interpreted in the form of giving creative leadership. Then we find what? That is regional or circle level bodies. Then here we find the deputy directors. The big states are usually divided into regions or circles under the charge of deputy directors. Sometimes they are called circle education officers or superintendents. Then at the district level, we have DEO, district education officers. Here, block level, we find what? In some states, there is another cadre or level of administration, which is known as your block or taluka. and it is considered effective level of administration for primary education. For that, we have Block Education Officer, that is BEO. Here, State Higher Education Commission. For the State Higher Education Commission, we have what? This commission operates to review performance, determines financial requirement, and plan for innovation in higher education. So here, Commissioner of Higher Education holds the charge of this body. Besides representation of vice chancellors and other officials are there. The purpose of the commission is to strengthen the planning and proper coordination of what? That is your college and university of education. And here we find the State Council of Educational Research and Training, SCRT. So SCRT, it has what? That is, it is an integral part of Director of Education and is the academic wing of the State Department of Education. It provides academic guidance to the regional offices, district education offices, and block education officers and principals of school. So here under it, there is monitoring and supervision, SCRT academic staff, diet academic staff, cluster resource centers, and accordingly, what are the major functions? That is, it provides academic inputs and infrastructure for school, diet, CTEs, and IASC. It supports training program of primary and secondary teachers. Then curriculum revision is there, textbook reformation is there. It conducts research on school education. It encourages the teachers to conduct small scale research. Then capacity building programs are also taken care of. Then we have the State Institute of Educational Management and Training, that is for providing imparting training in educational planning and management. We have the State Institute of Educational Management and Training. Then State Institute of Educational Technology. It performs functions like educational media related research, development, training, production, extensions, and receives academic and technical guidance and support from CIET. So here preparation of educational program for the TV channel is also taken care of. Then comes the DPEP program launched in the year 1994, that is District Primary Education Program. It is a holistic program for primary education, and it is what? That is planning is done with emphasis on decentralized management, participatory process, empowerment, and capacity building at all levels. So here construction of classroom is given emphasis, opening of alternative schooling center, appointment of new teachers, setting up of block resource centers, teacher training, special intervention for girls education, and even for the SC and ST students, distance education component for improving teacher training is also added. So these are the important functions or the main focus area on which the DPEP works. Then what about Sarva Sikha Abhijan? It was started in the year 2000, November 16. It would subsum all existing programs of universalization of elementary education. So the broad objectives of the scheme are what? That is, all children in the school education guarantee center, alternate school, back to school camp or bridge course should be completed by 2003. All children in the sixth age group complete 5 years of primary schooling by 2007. All children in the age group 6 to 14 complete 8 years of elementary schooling by 2010. Focus on elementary education of satisfactory quality with emphasis on education for life, bridging all gender and social category gaps at primary stage by 2007. And universal retention is to be there for the year 2010. So it is a massive mission mode campaign. Then comes what? MHRD. So the MHRD is what? Ministry of Human Resource Development is under the overall charge of Human Resource Development Minister, who assists the two Minister of State, one each for the two departments, the Department of Higher Education and Department of Education and Literacy. So each department is headed by a secretary to the Government of India. The Secretary Department of Higher Education is assisted by an additional secretary, 5 joint secretaries, 1 economic advisor, and 1 deputy director general. So here we find what? That this particular that is your Ministry of Human Resource Development, is the overall charge of the human resource development. And the two ministers of in charge are who? That is the Department of Higher Education and the Department of School Education and Literacy. Again, we find the following are the educational bodies who help the MHRD for proper functioning. They are the advisory bodies. The Central Advisory Body of UGC is the oldest advisory body which was started in the year 1920. So, on the recommendation of Calcutta University, that is in 1917 and 19, so we find what the Central Advisory Board. It is an advisory body in the year 1920. And what are the main function? To advise on any educational matters which may be referred to it by the government or with any local government. For information and advice regarding educational development in India, to examine this information and to circulate it with its recommendation so that Government of India or the local government. So the basic function is to provide advice, suggestions regarding the proper functioning of all educational matters. Then comes the University Grants Commission. Here we find that in 1944, the Sargent Committee recommended the establishment of UGC. As a result, in 1945, the central government set up University Grants Committee. Initially, the role of UGC was only of the advisory nature, but because it did not have any financial power. But later on, that is in the year in 1949, recommendations of University Education Commission, UGC Act of 1956 was passed in the Parliament and due funds and responsibility were given. And the first chairman was the C.D. Deshmukh. And there are what are the different activities? It takes efforts to improve the quality and standard of education, and even the commission gives high priority on examination for research work, improvement in order to provide opportunity for teachers to acquaint themselves with the current development in their respective fields of knowledge, updating of curricula, new techniques of instruction. Assistance is provided for organizing seminars and workshops. Then it helps in the development of university library. Research work is carried on, provides financial support for the research work. Again, it encourages postgraduate students, research scholars, and teachers by providing scholarship and fellowship for conducting research. It has also introduced national entrance for quality teachers in the colleges and universities. Then we find the Council of Scientific and Social Research, that is CSIR, and it was started in the year 1950 with the purpose of promoting industrial research. So for the promotion of industrial research, CSIR started grants fellowship to qualified persons. So again, we find technical education was started in India in India. We find what? First of all, the assistance on the proposal of the council regional committee. Around three new regional committees were started, and they have 7 boards for technical studies. These boards include what? In cancer, chemical, electronics, and communication technology, metallurgy, computer application, information technology, commerce, and management disciplines. All of these are included under your All India Council of Technical Education. These are the different boards. Then, what about the Indira Gandhi National Open University? So, we find that in 1974, under the chairmanship of G. Parthasarathy, the idea of starting up a open university was germinated. And while central government was still debating on the issue, in 1982, the government of Andhra Pradesh started the first Indian Open University at Hyderabad. It gave impetus to the establishment of Indira Gandhi National Open University in the year 1985 at New Delhi. So here at present 22 schools of studies are there under university. So here the main focus is upon what? That is offers different kinds of academic programs leading to certificate, diploma and degree courses. It is an apex body. It coordinates and monitors distance education system throughout the country. It has also constituted Distance Education Council and provides expert assistance to the open and distance learning. Then we find what Distance Education Council is there. It is for the promotion and maintenance of standard and coordination of open and distance learning activities in the country. Then Association of Indian University. So the Calcutta Education Commission suggested establishing an agency to coordinate the work of different university, and that was to be done through whom? That is the Association of Indian University. In the year 1973, it was named as Association of Indian University. The membership includes traditional university, open university, institution of national importance, and deemed to be university. So here, this is the Association of Indian University, so that all the university work can be coordinated. All the different work of the different universities are properly coordinated. It acts as a bureau of information and to facilitate communication, coordination, and mutual consultation amongst the university. It acts as a representative of universities of India. It helps universities to maintain their autonomous character. Again, it also helps in what? Exchange of members of teaching and research staff. It also undertakes conferences, seminars, workshops. All of these things are carried out so that is education at the university level functions properly, and there will be proper coordination among all the Indian universities. Then we come to the new part, that is National University of Educational Planning and Administration. So here we find that the National University of Education Planning and Administration, established by the MHRD, is a premium organization dealing with the capacity building and research in planning and management of education, not only in India but also in South Asia. So here we find that is in the field of educational planning and administration, the government of India have empowered it to award its own degree by the way of conferring it to the status of deemed to be university in August 2006. Central University Newpa is fully maintained by the government of India. Then we find what are the different objectives of it? To organize pre-service and in-service training program, to undertake, promote and coordinate research activities, to provide academic and professional guidance to agencies, to offer MPhil, PhD and postdoctoral programs and award of degrees, and to act as a clearinghouse of ideas and information on research, training and extension in educational planning and administration. Then we move on to NCRT. National Council of Educational Research and Training is an autonomous organization set up by the Government of India in 1965. And here we find it is the apex resource organization and its headquarters is at New Delhi. And what are the main objectives? To promote, aid and coordinate educational research, to provide extension surveys, to organize pre-service and in-service training, then to emphasize upon the research work, immediate problems, how to get solution for them, to encourage experimentation for progressive development of education, to publish the needed literature for achieving educational goals. Then what are the international bodies? That is UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Here, the main role is what? Supporting scientific, cultural and educational program at various levels of education in collaboration with local, state or national agencies as well as non-government agency. It was founded in the year 1946, November 16, and it plays a key role by way of providing financial support, expert advice and organizing seminars, workshops, conferences in the developing countries including India. So here we see that is basic education, life skills, International Center for Rural Education are some of the priority areas of UNESCO. Then we come to United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, and the main goal of it is what? That is, it advocates the protection of children's rights. It mobilizes political will and material resources to help countries, especially developing countries, by ensuring a fair deal for children and building their capacity to form appropriate policies and deliver services for their children and families. And it was established in the year created in the year 1946. Then we move on to UNDP, that is United Nations Development Program. So UNDP is here we find what? That is, it is a UN Global Development Work, an organization advocating for change and connecting countries to knowledge, experiences, and resources to help people build a better life. Again, World Bank. The World Bank Group, founded in the year 1994, is one of the world's largest sources of development assistance. And here it helps in what? The main emphasis is what? That is focusing on social development, protecting the environment, supporting and encouraging private business development, promoting reforms to create a stable macroeconomic environment. What about the Commonwealth of Learning? The Commonwealth of Learning was founded in the year 1989 by the Commonwealth Health of Government in Vancouver, Canada. The Commonwealth of Learning encourages the development and sharing of open learning, distance learning knowledge, and its responsibility is to provide services at all stages of institutional development. Capacity building in your ODL extends beyond the life of any specific initiatives to encompass advocacy and in understanding issues. And here, what are the different things included under it? That is development that inform policymakers and educational planners, promote best practices in distance education, demonstrate proven techniques, and encourage appropriate implementation. Then we find what? Resource management of education at macro level. Resource management refers to supply that will meet or need or lack of stock or reserve which one would draw upon when necessary. So here resources means what? Resources in education refer to all those assets such as your equipment, instructional material, the personnel, building, finance, ideas which have the potential to be used in the process of education for attaining certain goals. So here we find the resource management at the center level. We find MHRD, that is Ministry of Human Resource Development. Then we have minister under it. Then we have the educational advisor, joint advisor. Then the CABE, then AICTE, UGC, National Council for Teacher Education, NCRT, planning groups, and various other bodies are there. Again, structure of the state level machinery, we have the Ministry of Education, Education Secretary, Director, Deputy Director, District Education Officer, BEO, that is Block Education Officer, then the Taluk Education Officer. Then what about the human resource development? At the human resource development, here we what? It focuses both on human as organizational aspect. It places a premium on the dignity and the potential of people and insists that people need to be treated as human beings and not merely as factors of production. So here we have to see that all educational institutions are labor-intensive organizations. The quality of staff is of paramount importance. So highly qualified, well-motivated, and supportive teachers are required. Is an asset that any educational organization needs, and it will strengthen and enhance the teaching learning process. Then for that, we have different agencies for teacher development, colleges of teacher education, District Institute of Education and Training, Center of Advanced Studies in Education, Institute of Advanced Study in Education. So these are the different agencies that help for the professional development of teacher. Then what about the physical resource management? The furniture, the apparatus, other equipment required for education is, and then the laboratories, then the social science room, school playground, art and craft room, the library, the school campus, the office, the principal's office, computer room. Everything is to be taken care of. Then only proper physical resource management will be there. That is, well-ventilated classroom should be there. Lighting and arrangement of well ventilation is necessary. That is, blackboard and sitting arrangement should be perfect. Then printed materials, books, and library should be well equipped. Then the playground is also important. Then we see optimum utilization of physical resources also include the that is your library and laboratories, the equipments, the different types of chemicals, each and everything should be maintained properly. Then only proper experiment can be done. What about the financial resources? So here, the central government, state government, local bodies, as well as voluntary agencies receive donation fees from the students for financing of education in our country. The state receives some grants from the central government for centrally sponsored schemes. Even budget is important. So budget is important. Without sufficient amount of money, we cannot have qualified teachers, suitable buildings, competent administrators, good textbooks. For that, budget is an important instrument to control over other various educational operations. Then we find budget formulation should be done in a proper way. Even the disbursement of salaries to teacher, the head of the institution prepare their monthly salary. Then we have assistant education officer in case of primary schools and deputy director of public instruction in case of secondary, higher secondary and teacher training institutions. Then we find what? That is your program program and institutional evaluation. So here, what is about the evaluation? So evaluation is what? The systematic collection and interpretation of evidence leading as a part of the process of judgment of the value with a view to action. So systematic collection of evidence, then interpretation of the evidence, judgment of the value, then action orientation, whether the thing is worthwhile, the goals that we have set, whether we have achieved it or not. So what about the meaning of program evaluation? So here, educational enterprise aimed at the solution of a particular education problem or the improvement of some aspect of an educational system. So here we are focusing upon what? Solution of educational problem. That is eradication of illiteracy, universalization of elementary education, empowerment of girls' education or women, then what alternative arrangement of schooling. These are the different programs we have to evaluate whether we have achieved the success or not. And what are the purposes of program evaluation? To facilitate proper decision making. Program continuation will be there or not? Program modification is needed or not? Program is to be discontinued or not? Or understanding the psychological, social and other processes contributing to the process of dynamics of a program. Then area of program evaluation studies, the curriculum development area, then the type of goals, resources, process, operation, then organization, then methods and media to be used, human resource development, students' achievement, all these things are the areas which come under for proper evaluation in the education sector. Then components of program evaluation. What are the program goals? How are they to be evaluated? Then what are the measurement or tools that are to be used for evaluation? Then evaluation should be, that is in the behavioral terms, the table tools of evaluation. Then evaluation of resources. What are the resources? Are they appropriate or not? Whether the goals are achieved or not. Then the type of teaching, learning, technology, the interaction style, leadership behavior. Then the examination pattern, evaluation of program management system. The management system is treated as an inbuilt component of program which takes into account organizing, distribution, sharing of responsibility, executing the program. All these things are to be taken care of for proper managing. Then what about the institutional effectiveness, dimension and criteria? The students, the parents, are the students satisfied? Are the parents satisfied? Are the teachers, do they have their job satisfaction? All of these are to be taken care of. Then only institutional effectiveness will be there. Then what are the different parameters of institutional evaluation? The different parameters are the goals and objectives, the type of resources, the processes, the satisfaction of stakeholders, institutions' legitimacy and reputation, absence of problems and troubles in the institution, adaptation to environmental changes, what are the barriers, what are the things that are to be taken care of. Then classification of components of institutional assessment, leadership, teacher quality, students, co-curricular activities, teaching, quality of instruction, office management, material resources, the type of examination of the staff, reputation of the institution. All these things are to be taken care of. And the components to be included in the program evaluation are what? The program goals, the resources, which include both the human and non-human resources, the processes, which includes the methodology, the procedure, the technology, the program management, which includes the decision making, the strategies, the organization, monitoring, and ensure effective use of inputs and processes. For that, we have the NAC, that is, here we see the National Assessment and Accreditation Council. There are the curricular aspects, the teaching learning evaluation, the research consultancy and extension, infrastructure, learning resources, student support, and the institutional assessment procedure of NAC. It has three stages. First is what? Preparation of the self-study report that is given by the institution itself. There is the visit to the institution by the peer group. Then the final decision of the NAC, that is to be accredited whether A or B or C, whichever grade the institution receives. And it helps to know the strength and weaknesses of the institution. And it helps to identify the internal areas of planning and resource allocation. That is, give the institution an
मैडम आसिले किंतु केही नांती पळै
अच्छा
जिन
सर
समस्ते
पळेइले
हां
आज्ञा
हां
सर पळेइले सर
हां हां नेक्स्ट क्लास रे कहि देबे ओ
आज्ञा सर सॉरी हेतला गोटे पेज थिला
हां हां हां
आज्ञा आज्ञा